Y'all, it's Kevin and E again with real life reviews, and we're the real guys. Tell them what's
What's
cracking,
going on,
E.
everybody? What's going on?
Man. It was the holidays. It's been crazy week for us, man. Dealing with family, food, turkey, all those different things.
Yeah,
So, we had to take a week off just to get ready for this next drop. We're gonna do yeah, man. I'm excited, bro. I'm excited to get back on here, man, and put out a new episode, man. So what are we reviewing today, E?
today we are reviewing Minority Report for
Ooh.
for our real life rewind. Um,
You know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say it again. Real life
like
rewind.
yeah, yeah, we got to make sure we plug that in the beginning. But yeah, we're just going to be talking about some old classics. This was actually Kevin's suggestion because I'd never seen it before. So we are doing kind of like thriller, slash heist for the month. Um,
Mysteries, like things that get you engaged. You don't know who did it, who done it, and why.
yeah, yeah. So is this our third entry or second entry? I think
For
for the
the
month.
month, so we did Gone Girl, and this is it, right? Oh,
Yeah,
we did the Marvels, but that wasn't really a mystery. That was like kind of throwing that in there.
yeah,
But
that was
it's a second mystery.
yeah, yeah. So we'll be doubling up this week, guys. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. Today we are talking about Minority Report. As you know, it was a pretty successful movie at the time. Came out in 2002, starring Tom Cruise, Colin Farrell, uh, Max von Sydow. He looks very familiar. I don't know what movies I remember him from, but he is a very well-known actor.
Mhm.
Samantha Morton, Neil McDonough, and Patrick Kilpatrick. So just want to go ahead and jump in. Basically, what the movie is about the federal government in 2054. They're planning to implement something called pre-crime. It's a police program, and it's only been operating for about 6 years or so.
Yep.
And the way that it operates is that it uses three human beings called precogs to basically like help them, find like future offenders and prevent them from committing you know
Murders.
crimes basically.
Well, it's
Um,
basically murder. They said that the strongest emotion is murder. So whether it's
yeah,
premeditated or a crime of passion.
yeah, yeah. Um, so that's the gist of it. And basically, what happens is you have Tom Cruise character, John Anderton, and basically he's going through some stuff. He's a part of the pre-crime unit. Lost his family. His wife left him. His son was abducted. Sorry, I want to make that correction. And he became hooked on a drug called Neuronin.
Yep.
Think I'm pronouncing it right. Neuroin. Yeah, that's a pronunciation. But basically, he got hooked on that. His wife, up and left him, which I kind of understand. She couldn't help seeing him like that. Um, and he, basically gets, I guess, set up by somebody inside the pre-crime unit, and then all hell breaks loose, basically. So,
That's the gist of the movie, man.
yeah,
Uh, I really like the take on this movie, on the process of like the thought behind preventing a murder before it happens, and the world without murder. It sounds like a utopian society, but as you know, things aren't always as they seem.
yeah,
Um, I do like how sci-fi movies or mysteries like toy with the idea of human rights or humanity.
yeah,
Basically, you have these three precogs, which are basically teenagers or young children, hooked up to a machine for the sole purpose of stopping, because they can see the future, stopping murders, but they're like literally doped up and they're in a state of like in between of sleep and rest, sleep in awareness to be able to see future crime. And like Nobody, nobody, like not one person in the department thought, "Hey, these are kids. Hey, these are teenagers. Hey, these are children hooked up to these machines." And they're called, they always disassociated them from being human. They call them precogs. The whole movie. So I really thought that was an interesting take on like just how we, as a society or a people, give a name to a race or a person or or a derogatory term for somebody, and then we place them on a thing less than or different. They're not human anymore, but they're separate, right? So I
Yeah.
thought it's kind of an intriguing part of the movie. Tell me your thoughts, E man. What did you think of that? Like just how they disassociated these three precogs, as you call it in the movie, or these teenagers that are seeing the future, or just called precogs.
hmm Well, I wanted to clear up so a little like confusion I had. So I thought that they were precogs, or like they got their abilities because their mom was, or one of their parents, the mom I think was like hooked on Neuroin or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, every child whose parent was hooked on the first stage of this drug, this Neurolin, they had psychic abilities.
Yeah.
And the three that they called the precogs were the only three that survived the testing, and usually you didn't have a long lifespan. It was mimicked to me like the whole situation in the '80s, the crack baby epidemic, right? Everybody's oh crack babies, we don't know how they're going to live long, and what's going to happen to them, and all this
Yeah.
different stuff. And like now, with research, we find out like there was really nothing wrong. They didn't have
Yeah.
superhuman powers. They didn't have nothing going on with them. I just feel like that was like a little, dig of that in a way. But um, yeah, that's what happened. Basically,
Yeah.
there are no lapses, whatever, opened up to another realm.
So the way I feel about it is, um, it was very flawed. Um, I think the fact that one, they had these, three teenagers like hooked up, and basically, like you said, doped out for, you know, X amount of time was inhumane in the first place.
Very.
Also, it wasn't infallible, they, didn't have, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but like they didn't have like perfect foresight about everything that would happen. And one of the three, they said was the strongest. Not like,
Agatha, girl.
yeah, not like she had like, raw like power, but like her mental capacity, I guess, was the greatest, of the three. So she was, I guess, the one who decided, you know, what was, going to be future tense or not. And they would basically go off of that. And that's not good because that kind of takes away the individual's, right to choose. And by the individual, I'm talking about the person that the precogs are seeing that, may be committing this future murder. Um, it kind of takes away their, freedom of choice or decision, you could say.
I
Um,
agree.
and I
And
mean,
also,
yeah, go ahead.
as you can see in the slide right here, you can see Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise things like deciphering um, a precog's vision of a future murder and identifying the location.
Yeah,
Typically, they have a 4-day window when it's a planned murder, and if it's a crime of passion, typically they have like maybe less than an hour or so to figure out who and where the murder is going to happen. That's what they
yeah,
put that up.
yeah. I had read somewhere, I forget where, but it said that the movie didn't tackle, the whole question of, the freedom of choice, like I, was just saying a moment ago. Like they didn't really solve the question or answer the question, I guess you could say. They kind of like just left it up to, the imaginations of the audience. Um, and I kind of agree because, with the way that it ended, I was kind of like, okay, what are they going to do moving forward? Like, how are they going to fix this problem? You know?
Well, they kind of more or less, like I said, like in the movie, that whoever was already arrested for a crime they didn't even commit yet, they're going to be released to the public, but under extensive surveillance. You're right. Like they really didn't question like the idea of human choice. Like if a murder is planned 4 days in advance, so you mean to tell me if I had thought about murdering somebody today, and the next you know, pre-crime's coming to get me. I had 4 days to make a decision if I'm really going to kill this person, right?
Yeah.
So like it just didn't add up, man. Like some things like that, like, but it also shows like it started in Washington D.C., our our country's capital. It kind of showed like like the government big hand, big hand government make a decision, and like this is
Hmm.
the law, uh but all the politics stuff aside, it was definitely a good movie.
Hmm.
um Definitely good for the time. If you watch it as a lens that it came out in 2002, you see it a little differently. Do I think it stands up to par with movies coming out currently? Not really, but is it a good watch? Absolutely a good watch. It's a great dive in the human psyche, and like you said, the concept of free will versus premeditation, or predetermined will.
Yeah.
It's it's definitely a good mystery, because basically our guy Tom Cruise is he's basically what happens, all hell breaks loose basically, because the reality is the precog see him murdering somebody in 4 days, and he has to solve the murder before it happens. He didn't even know who the guy he was murdering was.
Yeah.
um Either way, but it was definitely a good movie with that part. And then also, man, you got Tom Cruise at the height of his powers, man. Like this is Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise things, running through the movie like he's in Mission Impossible, like
Yeah.
doing Tom Cruise stunts, So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't. There's a few bad Tom Cruise movies, but
Yeah.
even the bad Tom Cruise movies are still Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise. So I
Yeah.
still like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Uh,
know, like,
I forgot what I was going to say. So I know in the movie it was in Washington D.C. That was the main focus. They wanted to take the pre-crime, you know, agenda. They wanted to make it, something that was nationwide.
right.
Uh, do you think that would have stood up? That would have been successful, or what?
Heck no.
Yeah.
Because the reason why I say it wouldn't be successful, because then you would need, like you're telling me, the three precogs, three individuals could decipher that much understanding of murder. And then at the end of the movie, it basically said that they placed the twins and Agatha in a place to where their abilities wouldn't affect them. So that means they were in a remote location, so where they weren't around people with bad emotions to plan murder, or or anything like that. It could take up their mental space.
Yeah.
So that being said, you would literally have to have a precog, and almost, or a team of these precogs
Hmm.
in every state, or every city, every town. Like the vicinity they're following murders was only specifically DC. They never
Yeah.
explained to how this program was going to go national. Like they never explained like, could the let's 50 states. Let's say there's 5 murders happening or 20 murders happening. In the states. It just theoretically, it just, to me, it didn't make sense. But then again, guys, I'm being very convoluted. This is a movie, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
my thoughts behind like how it could work and how it could work. This is a movie. What's your thoughts, E?
Um. Yeah. I don't think it would have worked. That would have been, I think, sensory overload. To have those three, covering the entirety of the United States. I think if they were going to try to like make it a nationwide program, they would need to have precogs in every state, or maybe have like precogs for every region of the United States. But then again, that might be too much, also. So Um, yeah, I don't think it would have worked. I think people would have revolted against it because a lot of people wouldn't have agreed with the philosophy of predetermination. And these three individuals or however many individuals they would have, if they had it in individual states or different regions, but these X amount of individuals deciding my fate, before something even happens, or if it is even going to happen,
And then there's too many holes too, because like even in the movie, like the main guy behind the whole murder, um his whole thing was he literally planned to kill someone.
Yeah,
Probably Agatha's mom, because she wanted her rights to her daughter, and he was
yeah,
like, no rights at all because we need her for this program. Basically, forget your daughter. Long story short, he planned her murder. He sent a guy to plan to murder her, John Doe. He goes to kill her. He gets caught because, of course, precog.
yeah,
He then goes to kill the woman himself, dressed as the guy he was planning to kill her.
yeah,
So, like, basically, he found the loophole to kind of hide the fact that he committed a murder in a society where murder is not supposed to happen. So, like, I imagine that he's not the only smart individual in the world that's going to come up with an idea of how to, so to speak,
yeah,
um, stop or commit murder in a murder-free world,
yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
So, man, let's go on. Let's see what the critics say about this movie, man.
Yeah.
All right, bro, it's on you, E.
All right. So, Internet Movie Database gave it a 7.6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes usually gives the highest ratings for,
You haven't noticed that?
yeah, for any movie. Um, Out of all like the different critic sites, Fandango gave it 80%, and IGN gave it a 8 out of 10.
I don't think you said what Rotten Tomatoes gave.
What's that?
What Rotten Tomatoes give it?
Oh, 89%.
Okay,
Yeah.
89%, 80%, and 8 out of 10 IGN. All right, man. So now it's time for my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
The real guys rate. Let's do it, man. We rate this movie as. All right.
All
Go
right.
E.
So for me, I will give it an 8 out of 10. The pacing, it it was a little hard to follow at first. Um, I would say like the first half hour, I was getting a little confused because it was kind of jumping around a little bit. So I had to restart it, rewatched it. I was able to catch up. But pacing overall, I gave it an 8 out of 10. It was above average. It wasn't great, but it was good. Cast was amazing. Again, some pretty good actors. A few that we're familiar with, some that I'm not too familiar with. But the synergy, and the way that they all interacted and like played their roles was really good. Cinematography, for the time, it wasn't bad. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Like the car chase scenes and like when he was jumping out of his car out on the highway, I feel like that could have been done better.
I mean,
uh,
bro, you're thinking of it in 2023, bro. This movie's 21 years old, man. Like at that time, that was cutting edge technology. You just gave a Steven Spielberg film a C, an average for
I
cinematography.
mean,
You know that?
but think about what else we had around the time. We had The Matrix around that
But the
time.
Matrix, bro, you watch the Matrix now, bro. The Matrix was cookie cutter, like scenes. Like all you saw was like a few, like the most special effect you saw in the first Matrix, and that came out in 1999, was the bullets. That was hard. That was easy to do. They just did a whole futuristic highway on CGI with cars. You don't get that in Matrix.
But you have a lot more action and a lot more movement in The Matrix, though.
Matrix 2.
All right.
Case closed. Case closed, ladies and gentlemen. Matrix 2 came out around the same time with the same CGI. Wasn't great.
Well, he had another movie, Spielberg, that came out a year before that, Jurassic Park 3. And that was better CGI than Minority Report.
but they still use the robots, robotic dinosaurs they made in the first movie, though, bro.
I can go down the line. Lost World had better graphics. And anyway, let's move on.
Again, FX was still very popular used, man. They wasn't using CGI like that. Not for scenes like that.
All right, you're gonna make me go somewhere I don't want to go.
All right. Go to storyline.
But yeah, storyline 8.5 out of 10. It was a good story.
Okay.
I forget what article I was reading, but they were kind of saying that they kind of left the question unanswered. They didn't like tackle like all the questions that there could be, about the predetermination issue. But overall, I think what they had to work with was really good. 8.5 out of 10. Overall, averages out to an 8.1 out of 10, which I think is fitting. It was a good movie. Good movie. Yeah, it wasn't great, but above average, definitely.
You heard that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they and them. This is 8.1 out of 10 reels for my man E. As for me, pacing, I gave it a 7.
Yeah.
I think it was very slow in the beginning. Yeah, we had that scene where Bill was trying to find the murderer, future murderer, in that scene. They bust in through the windows and they come get him. That was cool. And then it kind of just dropped off a little bit, and just some parts you really didn't need, in that part to get to the build up of the potential murder that our main character is about to commit, right? But cast 9 out of 10, man. Tom Cruise, amazing job. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. He does Tom Cruise things in movies. You expect that. Everyone else did an amazing job with the acting. Really like the young lady who played Agatha, the precog. She did amazing in that role. And then we go on to cinematography. Again, I'm not like my man E. It's Steven Spielberg. I cannot give Steven Spielberg and nothing lower than an 8 when it comes to his filmography, his cinematography, just because it's freaking Steven Spielberg, man. And the reason why I'm giving a break on some of the CGI because it's freaking 2002. There's not much out there in 2002 that could compare to that really did CGI to that extreme. I mean, you can even say if you look at 2003 when the first Hulk movie came out, the CGI wasn't great either, but that was an entirely CGI movie. So again, you deal with what you're working with at the time. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I like to look at movies period pieces. I am the type of guy who will still watch a scary movie with the bats on a string and be scared and still be like, I like this movie because I understand the limitations of our time. Storyline, I gave it 8.5 out of 10 reels. Storyline to me, still solid storyline. Again, some areas where we could have solved some issues, and like my man, he said there was a lot of questions unanswered. Like, was his son really dead? For instance, like they just left that off, and mom and dad's having a new baby. Life is good, right? And then they just left it off, like you said. What about predetermined determination? Is this a thing that happens? Like where is the answer there? No answer. I mean, even the statement where Agatha said to Tom Cruise's character, he's like, I'm gonna kill this man. No, you don't have to kill this man. But you saw the future. She was like, well, no one else knew their future, so you still have a choice. I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't make sense, but okay, we'll go with that. Anyways, I think overall, that the grand total for me is 8.1 out of 10 rails as well. I think this is like the second or third time me and E has matched on our rating with movies.
I thought it was the first. No.
Is it the first? Might be the first. I could be. I won't. We'll get those numbers to y'all later. But anyway, y'all. Yeah, man. I liked the movie. Did you like it?
Yeah.
Obviously, you did.
I liked it.
Would you recommend it?
I would recommend it, definitely. I mean, art is open, to interpretation. So, and we have, the headline or the quote. Are you interpreting this up to you? So,
Say it again, bro. You broke up a little bit.
no, so however I talked about the heading that we have, or the caption that we have on our IG page that says "Art imitates life." So however you perceive, movies, or however you interpret them, is solely up to you. So you may love it, you may hate it, and that's okay. So
That's right, and that's what we
yeah,
love about the art from the movies and theater, man. Because like, I may love it, you may hate it, but that's okay because we have
yeah,
a lot of interpretation of art. So,
yeah.
as always, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they and them, this is awesome. We are glad you're back with us, rocking with us. We're getting ready for the December month. I think we're going to see a new movie this week. Just to kick off the holiday season with something different. But hey, again, guys, always remember, life is a movie. Enjoy it while you're here. Yo, this is Kev. That's E. And this is Real Life Reviews with the Real Guys.
All right, y'all. Peace.